Let's start with a question. What's the loudest sound you've ever heard? Maybe it was a thunderclap, a concert, or the roar of a jet engine. But here's the thing, none of those compare to the noise of other people. Not the sound of their voices, but the weight of their opinions, their expectations, their drama, and their chaos. The truth is, we live in a world that never stops talking, and if you don't learn how to tune it out, it will drown you. This video isn't about being rude, cold, or disconnected. It's about survival. It's about reclaiming your attention, your energy, and your peace in a world that's constantly trying to steal them. It's about mastering the art of ignoring people, not because you're better than them, but because you owe it to yourself to focus on what truly matters. So if you've ever felt overwhelmed by the noise, if you've ever wished you could just shut it all off and breathe, this is for you. Let's dive in. The Noise Factory. Why ignoring people is a superpower. Imagine your mind is a factory. It's a busy place. Machines whirring, workers hustling, ideas being born. But every time someone interrupts you with their nonsense, it's like a wrench gets thrown into the gears. The machines screech to a halt, the workers scatter, and your productivity tanks. Now imagine this happens 10, 20, 50 times a day. How much work would you actually get done? The reality is, most of us are living in this exact scenario. Our mental factories are under constant siege by coworkers who love to gossip, by friends who thrive on drama, by social media algorithms designed to hijack our attention. And the worst part? We let it happen. We've been conditioned to believe that ignoring people is selfish, that we owe everyone our time and energy. But here's the truth, you don't. Ignoring people isn't just a skill, it's a superpower. It's the ability to filter out the noise so you can focus on the signal. It's the difference between being reactive and being intentional. And in a world that's constantly trying to distract you, it might just be the most important skill you ever learn. The myth of the good person. Let's address the elephant in the room, guilt. Many of us struggle to ignore people because we're afraid of being seen as rude, selfish, or uncaring. We've been taught that being a good person means always being available, always saying yes, always putting others first. But here's the thing. That's not being good. That's being a doormat. Think about it. When you say yes to everyone else, what are you saying to yourself? Every time you let someone hijack your time with their drama, every time you sacrifice your peace to keep the peace, you're sending yourself a message. You don't matter. And that's not just unhealthy, it's unsustainable. You can't pour from an empty cup, and you can't be there for others if you're not there for yourself first. So let's reframe what it means to be a good person. A good person isn't someone who says yes to everything. A good person is someone who knows their limits, who respects their own time and energy, and who has the courage to say no when necessary. And sometimes that means ignoring people. The art of selective attention. Now, let's get practical. How do you actually ignore people without feeling like a jerk? The key is selective attention. This isn't about shutting everyone out. It's about choosing who and what deserves your energy. Here's how to do it. 1. Identify the noisemakers. Not all people are created equal when it comes to noise. Some are like background music, pleasant, unobtrusive, easy to tune out. Others are like air horns, loud, jarring, impossible to ignore. The first step in mastering the art of ignoring is identifying who falls into which category. Take a moment to think about the people in your life. Who drains your energy? Who constantly demands your attention? Who thrives on drama or negativity? These are your noisemakers. And while you don't necessarily need to cut them out of your life, though sometimes that's the best option, you do need to set boundaries. 2. Set boundaries like a pro. Boundaries aren't about being mean, they're about being clear. They're about letting people know what you will and won't tolerate. And the best part? You don't need to explain or justify them. Your boundaries are for you, not for anyone else. For example, let's say you have a coworker who loves to gossip. Instead of engaging, you can simply say, "I'm not really into office drama, but thanks for sharing." Or if you have a friend who's always venting but never takes your advice, you can say, "I care about you, but I'm not in the right headspace to talk about this right now." The key is to be firm but polite. You're not rejecting the person, you're rejecting the behavior. 3. Master the art of the polite brush-off. Sometimes ignoring people outright isn't an option. Maybe it's your boss, your mom, or someone else you can't easily avoid. In these cases, the polite brush-off is your best friend. This is the art of acknowledging someone without actually engaging. For example, if someone tries to rope you into a pointless argument, you can say, "That's an interesting perspective," and then change the subject. Or if someone's being overly demanding, you can say, "I'll get to that when I can," and then go about your day. The goal isn't to shut them down, it's to redirect the conversation in a way that protects your peace. 4. Embrace the power of silence. Silence is one of the most underrated tools in the art of ignoring. When someone says something ridiculous, offensive, or just plain annoying, you don't have to respond. You can simply let the silence hang in the air. This does two things. First, it sends a clear message that you're not engaging. Second, it makes the other person uncomfortable, which often leads to them backing off. For example, let's say someone makes a passive-aggressive comment about your choices. Instead of defending yourself or getting into an argument, you can just smile and say nothing. The silence will speak volumes. 5. Protect your mental space. Finally, remember that ignoring people isn't just about what you do, it's also about what you don't do. It's about protecting your mental space from unnecessary noise. This means curating your social media feeds, setting limits on how much news you consume, and creating physical spaces where you can retreat and recharge. Think of your mind as a fortress. You wouldn't leave the gates wide open for anyone to wander in, would you? So why do we do that with our attention? By being intentional about what you let in, you can create a mental environment that's calm, focused, and productive. The freedom of ignoring. Here's the beautiful thing about learning how to ignore people. It's freeing. When you stop letting other people's noise dictate your life, you reclaim your power. You stop living on autopilot and start living with intention. You stop being a reactor and start being a creator. And the best part? The more you practice ignoring people, the easier it gets. What once felt uncomfortable or rude starts to feel natural. You begin to realize that you don't owe anyone your time or energy. Not your nosy neighbor, not your toxic coworker, not even your well-meaning but overbearing family member. Your attention is a gift, and it's up to you to decide who deserves it. The ripple effect. Here's the kicker. When you start ignoring people, something amazing happens. Not only do you become more focused and productive, but the people around you start to change too. They begin to respect your boundaries. They stop seeing you as someone they can dump their problems on, and in some cases, they even start to mirror your behavior, learning to set boundaries of their own. It's like dropping a pebble into a pond. The ripples spread far beyond where the pebble landed, and while you can't control how others will react, you can control the pebble. You can choose to ignore the noise, to protect your peace, and to live life on your own terms. The final word. So here's the bottom line. Ignoring people isn't about being cold or uncaring. It's about being intentional. It's about recognizing that your time, energy, and attention are finite resources, and that you have the right to protect them. It's about choosing to focus on what truly matters rather than getting caught up in the noise. And the best part? You don't need anyone's permission to start. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment or the perfect excuse. You can start right now, today, in this very moment. So the next time someone tries to pull you into their drama, their negativity, or their chaos, take a deep breath, smile, and let it go. Because you've got better things to do. And remember, the world will always be noisy. But that doesn't mean you have to listen. Thank you for watching. If you want to see more videos, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one.